Welcome to Ashley On, your one-stop podcast where we talk about health and wellness, spirituality, and all things new. Stick around as we delve deep into innovations to support a better world.
Hello and welcome to the show. Today's show is with Jenny Garufi. Jenny is certified in over 15 different healing modalities, including the Akashic Records, shamanism, and other different energy techniques. She's been featured on PBS, iHeartRadio, ABC, HuffPost. Really does a great job. And our show today is fantastic. We talk about all of these different things, as well as the importance of making a choice over what we should do or what we think we should do, and the power in making a choice. It's a great show. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Hello, this episode is brought to you by Morrison Alley. Morrison Alley provides consulting focused around strategy, leadership, and team development, as well as AI implementations to streamline effectiveness or marketing solutions or app development, and then leadership development from our Fire and Rain leadership development team, focused on executive leadership experiences and experiential learning. Check it out, morrisonalley.com. Thanks. Hello, Jenny Garufi. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you. Your name came up in some research, I guess, that I was doing with Neil Donald Walsh, and you were referenced through that. So thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Oh, I'm grateful to be here.
So I like to just kind of dive in. If you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Yeah. I guess my journey started about 20 years ago. I had been sick for 7 years and wound up healing myself in 3 weeks when doctors said I'd be in a wheelchair. And that kind of woke me up to the power of energy, the power of our thoughts. I'd majored in psychology, but when you get ill, you defer to doctors. You really, put your trust in whatever they say. And I'd really kind of given my power away and not tapped into why I got sick or what my inner dialogue was. So in healing, I really awoke into wanting to help other people with whether that was physically how it was manifesting in their lives or emotionally or whatever issues they had. Again, majored in psychology, got a degree in it. So always interested in helping people. And this was like that next level. And last 20 years, I've gotten certified in all kinds of healing modalities, from the Akashic Records to shamanic practices to like 10 different kinds of energy healing modalities, and really love mindfulness because it does all come back to the mind and self-love and how we talk to ourselves. So really love empowering people, and I am a constant learner. So I just keep filling my toolbox so I can help improve my own life and help offer tools to other people.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for doing what you do. What gave you the confidence to pursue this route?
If I knew I had healed myself, I was a recovering perfectionist, recovering people pleaser, and the dialogue that was going on in my mind was not good by any means, not positive. I'd underwent some trauma growing up. Who doesn't? Who hasn't? And really understood that people get stuck. People get stuck in maybe things their parents said or a sibling said or, a significant other. And it becomes very hard to overcome that. So I believe that everyone has their own gifts to offer, but sometimes we can't get out of our own way because of the past. So I really wanted to, in my own healing, really got the confidence to go to the next level. I'll take this class and I'll learn a little more to help people. And really always, it was in my learning that I'd get the confidence to be like, okay, I can use this tool to help people further along their journey. And really that's the best thing possible, is to hear someone say, oh, I never looked at it that way. And to feel this lifting of energy and just them give themselves that permission to move forward.
So did you have, you were pursuing the medical route first on your own healing, and was that not working out, or were you deciding to do something in addition to that, or what was the catalyst there that took you in this direction of more, I guess most of my listeners are pretty spiritual, but for anybody that's listening, that's maybe on the fence or is kind of skeptical about this, let's get a little bit deeper into that process and that you went through.
Yeah, well, doctors were not really helping. I mean, I was going to sometimes 3, 4 doctor appointments a week, and they were diagnosing me with more things. My prognoses kept getting worse and worse. They were saying I'd be in a wheelchair, that I could never be healthy again. And it wasn't very empowering, to say the least.
Hmm.
And they were trying to put me on more and more medications. And I was like in my early 30s then. I was like, I don't want to be on medications for the rest of my life. Like, I know if you start then, it's very hard to get off of them. So I started by going to a naturopath, and they gave me like 25 vitamins to take a day. And I wasn't really feeling that much better anyway. I went to the chiropractor. That helped a little bit. Everything would help maybe a little bit for a little while, but nothing helped me feel a lot better or in my power. I was waking up every day in chronic pain with very bad self-dialogue. I wonder if it's safe to drive my kids to school today. I wonder if I'm going to have to crawl down the stairs today. I wonder if, like really going to that negative mindset. There are a few things that helped me kind of switch that. I met a woman that lived in my area and met a new friend, because when I became sick, a lot of friends fell away. Oh, she can't go do things anymore. She's not fun anymore. Have to walk away from this, or, tired of me. I was in pain a lot, not fun to be around someone that's in pain a lot. So when I met this woman, we had kids the same age, and I'd really resisted taking pain pills again at a young age. I was like, if I start now, what am I going to be like in 10 years? And growing up in New York City, I saw addiction firsthand. I was very mindful of becoming addicted to a substance. But when I met her, I was like, you know what? I'll take like a quarter of the dose and go for a walk with her, just so I can get out of the house. And being out walking with her, remembering kind of who I was instead of sick Jenny, but remembering some of the things and reflecting on stories, that helped. And then when I saw the movie The Secret, that was kind of the catalyst. I was like, oh, gratitude. I've not been in gratitude. Oh, changing my thoughts. I really have had really bad thoughts lately, like really becoming mindful of, okay, if I am feeding my thoughts all the time about how sick I am and feeding into the pain, which was very real, pain is visceral, it is real, it gets your
Yes, it
attention.
is.
But if I'm focusing all my energy on that, I'm not giving myself an opportunity to heal. So really being mindful in, okay, when I wake up in the morning, I am going to focus on something I'm grateful for. Maybe I can't run after my kids, but I can reach them in bed. Maybe I can, I can't, say yes to everything, but I can talk to a friend on the phone, so really being grateful for
Hmm.
things. And in my body too, being grateful that my little finger didn't hurt, even if my legs were killing me, like really shifting my attention to what was good helped a lot. Also diving deep into Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, anyone I could find, Wayne Dyer. That was really Caroline Myss, learning about the chakras, learning about energy really helped me to recognize, okay, if we're 99.9% new every, 11 months, our body's always recreating itself. How we're feeling, our thoughts are one thing, but how we're feeling, the emotion we're putting into them, have to be contributing to those cells that are being made. And if I'm saying every day, ow, I'm in so much pain, ow, I can't do anything, what is that doing to my body? I'm not allowing my body to heal. So that was part of it. Like, and that catalyzed, I didn't know that I could heal myself. I just knew that I had not tried this route before. And by focusing my energy on what was good and really not focusing on another doctor appointment, oh, this, oh, that, not focusing on the bad, or I'm going to wind up in a wheelchair, it allowed for that healing to come in.
So you mentioned you kind of had an awakening moment after seeing the movie The Secret and focusing on gratitude. Like, what did you do then? Like, did you start researching on your own what you needed to do to heal yourself, or did you find somebody else that could help you in that, or what was the transition period there after when you decided you were going to try something different and focus on gratitude?
I've always loved computers and the internet. So that was, even 20 years ago, and was just like, okay, I'm going to learn more and I'm going to get some books. And I think I even had a Deepak Chopra book that I hadn't read yet, and Tolle, The Power of Now. I think it just kind of come out, and really just went on my own journey. I remember listening to like a 2.5 hour YouTube Wayne Dyer on the power of intention. Really went down that. I think Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich was really helpful to me. It's not really about money, it's about energy, changing your energy. So those things were really just helpful for me. I didn't look to anyone else at that time. It was really about changing me from the inside out. And yeah, I think I was almost the only one at that time that could do that for me. I had studied psychology and had just been so caught up in my negative mindset of, feeling sorry for myself, because when doctors say you're never going to get better, you feel a little sorry for yourself and the things that you won't be able to do. And I'd really focused all my energy on that, not being a good enough mom. And the self-dialogue's horrible. I'm not a good enough mom. I'm not a good enough wife. I'm not a good enough daughter, or friend. It really becomes, it's horrible, but we wind up beating ourselves up more when we're sick, usually, than being kind to ourselves. We wouldn't do that to a child. We wouldn't do that to a friend or an animal, but we tend to do that to ourselves.
Yes, we do. And that's part of what I'm trying to do with this podcast and this season, really focusing on, you know, this sort of topic, right? In terms of healing and energy healing, quantum healing, whatever you want to call it. Trying to give folks hope that are out there, because I know there's a lot of people that are in pain physically, or know somebody who is, and obviously our culture really pushes pretty hard on the medical side of this. And, personally, I've been down the route of medical as well, and some certain issues, and it hasn't really worked out for me either. And so I've just tried to step out and really start to share and bring people on that can give others that are listening confidence, to help themselves or their family members or loved ones. So would you say that negative thought process, is that just constantly programming your body to continue to be in that same state? Is that what's physically manifesting then because of those negative thought patterns?
Yeah, you're really not giving it a chance to heal. Again, if you were talking to a dog saying bad dog, like over and over again, or doing that, God forbid, to a child or something too, like, you're really not giving that being a chance to be any other way. And it's the same way with our bodies. And like I said, pain is very attention getting. Doctors' prognoses, that's very attention getting. The internet, go down the rabbit hole with the internet and all the ways your disease can manifest into something else, that's very attention getting. And as humans, we have like 60,000 thoughts a day. The average human has 60,000 thoughts a day. 80% are negative, 95% are the same as yesterday. We have to work at changing that so that we reprogram ourselves. And it isn't easy. We are programmed to, I don't watch news now, but when I used to watch news, the first story is always the most horrific.
Where you got to turn that stuff off.
The rubbernecking, curious, oh, what's wrong? Like, it is built into us to go to the negative. So it is a reprogramming and a gentleness when we do go there, because we're human. I kind of chuckle at myself or roll my eyes. I've been doing this for 20 years. I still find myself in that place. I still find myself in negative thoughts about myself. It's not like this cloud lifts and you're just in this, la la moment where everything's perfect all the time. But the more you work at it, the easier it gets. The less you let things affect you and keep you down. You might go there in your mind, but hopefully you're processing it and looking at it instead of just falling into the emotion of it and letting it take over your body. And there are people that have had real traumas. And working in this business with clients for 20 years, I've heard pretty horrific horror stories of what people have been through. Trauma is real, and being able to get that help if you need to move that through your body or release some of this energy is necessary, but it also requires the self-worth to know that you are not the culmination of what has happened to you. Like, you might be up until this point, it's manifested in that way, but you're so much more than that. You're so much more. You have, everyone has their gifts, everyone has their light that they can shine. And it's almost like we owe it to ourselves to heal ourselves, to become that best version of ourselves for us. A lot of people, women I work with, were like, or men are like, they can do it for someone else. Oh, well, I need to step up as a mom or dad. So they'll like do it for their kids, but it's really about doing it for ourselves. And that has the ripple effect. It affects our relationships. It affects the people we work with. So, and it can be like these little things that we do for another person that really reflects back at us. I know, like, smiling at an elderly person in the grocery store, that could be like the first interaction they've had, or saying hello, like really noticing that we can affect other people, and the way we affect other people, like, it just kind of informs the way we feel about ourselves too. Can we give ourselves credit for the little things that we do? Can we not harp on about one thing we felt we said wrong, or wish we had done differently? Can we really love ourselves and give ourselves that gratitude so that we can heal, instead of telling ourselves we're not enough? And because that does not promote healing.
So let's go a little bit deeper. What, you had all these diagnoses that you just were getting you even more negative, and you decided to go down the path of gratitude. You say you healed yourself within 3 weeks. Literally, let's share with the audience, like, what did you literally do each day during those 3 weeks that began to heal yourself?
So the three most important times in the day are right when you wake up, right when you're going to sleep, and in the shower. I actually have mindfulness books about in the shower, because your subconscious is turned on. In the morning and at night, your subconscious is turned on, and those thoughts go deep. Usually when we're ill, or when we're anytime, we're using that time to really go down the rabbit hole. Oh, I didn't get this done today. Oh, this is going to suck tomorrow. Oh, this is, I'm not looking forward to this. And we're really imbuing that into our subconscious, and our subconscious really is so powerful in creating. And that time of sleep is when the cells can heal themselves. So we want, really, before going to bed, it was really important for me to focus on gratitude, to focus on one thing, one win that day. Could have been the smallest thing. I took a shower and it felt good. I read something positive today. I was a little bit kinder to myself today. And in the morning, one thing you look forward to: I'm going to read something positive today. I'm going to read a story to my kids today. And the shower is so powerful because you have the healing element of water. And usually the shower is a very distracted time. My to-do list, my shopping list, it's really, you're not present. But in that presence, you can really incorporate, okay, I'm imagining the water washing the negativity down the drain. Okay, I'm setting intentions for myself for the day. Okay, I love my body. I'm sending love to my body. That was another thing too, because when we're ill, we're focused on what's wrong. We're not sending love to our body. We're doing the exact opposite. We're, oh, and I know, I had been a dancer for a lot of my life, and my legs were where my pain was. 90% of my pain was. So I was focused on, ow, my legs, how could my legs not be working, and really focusing on that negativity. Instead, I'd be like, oh, thank you, legs. You've worked for so many years. You gave me so much joy in dancing. So it was gratitude, shifting the attention. It was looking up things that resonated with me. A positive quote. Sometimes it's a funny video. If you need to laugh, laughter is healing. Look up funny videos, funny baby videos, funny pet videos. Really giving gratitude for yourself too, for even wanting to heal, for even, showing up for yourself and wanting to look at things a little bit differently. I called it, like, when I healed, I'd called it like the paging me system. A lot of forgiveness is needed. P was pardoning. A lot of forgiveness is needed for yourself, for other people, for situations. Ho'oponopono is my favorite healing exercise for forgiveness. It's just 4 sentences. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. We're safe for ourselves. it really shifts energy, to say, I love you. I'm sorry I beat you up all in your head all the time. Please forgive me. Thank you. So pardoning, attention shifting, gratitude, influences, maybe taking stock around the people and influences. Are you watching, news 3 hours a day? You're not going to be positive if you're watching news
That's right.
3 hours a day. Watching your self-talk. So no get negative self-talk. It can't be none, but regulating it, goal setting, one goal for the day. What do you hope to accomplish today? Again, maybe it's the shower. Maybe it's calling a friend that makes you laugh. Maybe it's, I'm going to allow myself half an hour watching funny pet videos and, laugh my butt off today. Meditation is important, being present, however that looks for you. Meditation can be a lot of different things. And then education. Educating yourself on anything is powerful because when we're learning, we're kind of excited. It can be, getting a free app like Duolingo or something like that and learning a language. It can be going on YouTube and learning how to make a healthy recipe or, whatever it is, but really celebrating yourself in some way. One of the first exercises I give my clients is to write down 10 things that bring them some kind of pleasure and doing one thing daily. It can be 5 minutes of funny pet videos. It can be making a nice cup of tea. It can be reading something, that's inspirational, but really giving ourselves that permission to be okay, because we know that the world is showing us that there are a lot of things that are not okay right now. And it's very easy to be sucked into that vacuum of what's wrong, but only we have the power to be like, okay, this is okay, and I'm okay in this moment. And how can we really show and prove that to ourselves? Joy is a great thing. Putting on a song that makes you inspired, dancing around the living room, whatever it is that can give you that little spark of joy, even if it's a couple moments, that really is so much more powerful than a negative thought, because that's like, I look at that as like scattered, like static on a radio signal. But when we experience joy, when we set a clear intention, it is, it's like that straight, like voice, like, yes, yes, I'm excited. Yes, I trust that life can be good. And it just like kind of creates more of that energy.
So 21 days of this, morning showers,
Yeah.
evenings, and you started to feel better. And did you feel progress being made, or did it just take a while and then all
Yeah,
of a
I'd
sudden it?
say after a few days, I noticed a lessening of pain. After 3 weeks, I was off of all pain pills. I had gone down taking pain pills sparingly, but I really do feel like taking those. And I don't want to demonize all Western medicine, because I do feel like I was in pain for so long that taking a pain pill would allow me to remember what it was like not to be in pain. And it was a whole lot easier in the beginning to do those exercises when I was not in pain, because it's very hard to overcome some of that pain. But what I noticed with the pain pills is when they wore off, that pain would come back, and sometimes even worse. So that was my thing. I didn't want to be addicted to them. So really, like, again, not demonizing Western medicine, because there are very helpful things in it. And if you're ever in an accident, definitely recommend going to, an ER and not like praying over yourself. I mean, there are definitely practical applications, but in terms of maintaining health, in terms of chronic illnesses, I do feel like we have a lot more power than we're told.
So that's a nice kind of transition. What was your, if I may ask, how were you raised in terms of your belief in God or spirit or whatever you want to call it? Like what was your upbringing like in that regard?
So my parents had me at 18. They had me very young. They were both from not the best homes, and they both really weren't religious. I'd say my mom was maybe a little spiritual, but not religious. But they both basically raised me like, believe what you want to believe. We want you to believe what you're going to believe. I went to Catholic school because I was raised in New York City, and they found like the Catholic school in the area was the best from second to sixth grade. that did not really resonate with me. Aspects of it did, but
Mhm.
the whole guilt thing
Yeah.
and confession, that kind of thing, didn't really resonate with me. As a teenager, I'd had some spiritual experiences. I had an astral projection moment. I had, a couple of things that told me that there was more, so, but then I got into clubbing and being a teenager and, doing things kids do. I was, a teenager in New York City. I really didn't find my way back to spirituality until I was sick.
Interesting. Did what you? I guess you mentioned an astral projection moment. Tell us about that.
So I had always been interested in it, but I think this is what catalyzed my interest. I
And
didn't know
what
what
is astral
happened.
projection for our audience who doesn't know as well?
So astral projection is when your consciousness leaves your body and you can travel. So a lot of people know of it as out of body experiences. So you've heard of like someone during a surgery being at the top of the room and seeing people operate on them, or someone in an accident leaving their body and seeing, the time where they might have, been dead for a little while and then coming back into their body. Astral projection, you're consciously choosing to leave your body, or well, we do it every night anyway, but you can learn to consciously choose to leave your body. The first experience I had was not was not conscious at all. It was very, very real. My friend had been dating a guy that lived a couple doors down in New York City, and for some reason, like, I left my body and went to his house and saw him and his family around, and the layout of their house, which was very, very different from any of the other houses. They had a complete basement. And, I kind of thought I was like, wow, that was weird. That felt really real. Like I heard the conversations and I saw everything. And then a couple of days later, we went to the apartment and it was exactly laid out how I had seen it and everything. I was like, okay, that was more than a dream, obviously, so. And then I've had experiences since then where I've left my body and it feels more real than reality, is how the only thing I can explain it. It's the sounds are more real, the colors are more real. It scares people a little bit. They worry about getting back in their body. That's not really a thing. You can get back to your body. You just have to think about it. It's something, again, I want to explore more. I love that. And lucid dreaming, I think, is very powerful too for spiritual healing. But I had that. And then I had a moment of like intuition that I feel like saved my life. I was at my dad's house and he had a strict rule: don't go into Jen's room before like 11 a.m. on a weekend, she will meet her wrath, as a teenager. And he
Hmm.
came in at like 9 a.m. and he said, Jen, I'm going down to the village. There's this album that's available. You want to come with me? And I think I'd been out till like 1, 2 a.m. Everything in my body said no, but I was like, yes, you need to go. Like, I just remember that strong, like, yes, you need to go. We came back. His apartment was ransacked. And I would have been in a room where I would have been stuck in there.
Hmm.
I don't know what would have happened to me. I definitely got the impression it would not have been good, so yeah, so just those little things where like things happen where you can't really explain them, but that there's more. And for me, like, I love that stuff. Like, it still gets me very excited to think about those things and to have spiritual experiences, and it gives me so much peace knowing there's more.
Yeah, I understand. So can you or can we, right? Because I don't I want our audience to understand that we all have these
Yeah.
capabilities in ourselves, whether we believe it or not. Um, can you share a little bit more about how that just gave you? It sounds like these you're referring back to these moments. They gave you the confidence then when you got sick to believe that there was something more and there could be another way.
Yeah, I think it was, the psych background. Like, when I saw the movie The Secret, it kind of made sense. I'm like, oh yeah, gratitude. Oh yeah, like I could be focusing my energy on something positive. And when I healed, I think it's when everything started to click into place. Like, oh, I changed my thoughts, which changed my energy, which changed my body. So there was a progression there. And then to keep myself on track, I started writing about mind body practices and quickly found that spirituality is right there, intertwined, and got very into that again. Started getting into, I think I'd written an article about reconnective healing and had had Eric Pearl's book on my wish list, and my dad had gotten it for me for Mother's Day. And when I held the book, I felt energy coursing through my whole body and was like, okay, I need to pursue this. So little things like that I took. And then after, while I was blogging too, I got, there were only a handful of the spiritual bloggers at that time. So we, a lot of them had Akashic record readings. I didn't know what that was. So I was like, I want to get an Akashic record reading done. All these people that I know of believe in this stuff. So I don't know whether I believe it, but I'm just going to get it done. It had said I'd be a healer. And I was like, well, yeah, I could kind of see that. Majored in psychology. And yeah, just everything. It was like breadcrumbs. I feel like I was led by breadcrumbs through what's going to help me next. After the reconnective healing seminars that I was led to go to the training, I started receiving messages during sessions when I was working on people, energetic healing sessions, and didn't understand what I was receiving the information from. And for me, I went to Bronx High School of Science, still have that left brain science mind, and was like, well, these could be just in this energy field, in this person's energy field. Like, I'm reading their energy. I want to know why I'm receiving these messages, where they're coming from. And it led me to studying the Akashic record reading. So I could feel like I was getting like a roadmap to how to get this information and where it was coming from. So everything kind of led me to the next phase. I did remember like, oh yeah, I loved astral projection. When I was in high school, I actually took a couple classes at the Learning Annex about astral projection. Let me go back to that. Like, that seemed really cool. So really like remembering that I did like that stuff, as well as like discovering, wow, there's a whole lot more out now, 30 years later than when, I was looking at it as a teenager.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Yeah, on the topic of religion, obviously there's lots of positives with religion, but do
Yeah.
you feel that religion can get in the way, for some folks, get in the way of God, and some folks
Yeah,
finding
I
that
think
way?
Yeah, I mean, I think anything can kind of get in the way. If you're too obsessive about it and are like, this is the only way, your heart's not open. You're not really open to everything that could be. You're really like, this is the way and everything else is wrong. Like, I don't feel like that could be right, because like love is all encompassing. Love isn't just for one set of people.
Right.
Love is really
Absolutely.
about us loving each other and that non-judgment. So I do feel like if you're just like, this is the only path and everything else is wrong, like you're shutting yourself off for what could be more. And I think if you're studying almost too analytically too, and not really opening up your heart or opening up, just to, again, just what could be, what is the, if I'm here, and can I tune out everything else and tune into the connection I feel with everything? And meditation doesn't look the same for everyone. It could be, in nature that you connect. It could be, that could be your place of prayer, So really it's understanding what works for you, but also being open to that might not be what works for other people, and that's okay.
Yeah, I have some friends, some close friends who, yeah, I have friends who really enjoy what I'm doing with this show. I also have some friends who are, I think a little troubled by it because they are more, strict religious believers of a certain, there's only one path and this is the path. And I don't really feel that this conversation gets in the way of that conversation, really. I mean,
Mhm.
the details maybe, but at the end of the day, there's a creative spirit or God that's been filtered through these different religions. And seems like this conversation and others that I have with other folks, it seems like you're just going directly to the source, right? Rather than having to go through
Yeah,
these different channels to get there.
absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, being open, being curious is like the best that possible thing. Exploring. There's so many resources now. We have unlimited resources online to look into, what just exploring. Put on
And
different YouTube videos, learn about different religions, learn about different spiritual practices, see what gets you excited, and whatever gets you excited, yeah, follow that direction. I'm always learning, and I'm still, I just found recently another spiritual practice. I'm like, whoa, I've never heard about this. I love this. I'm going to practice this now. Really just being open. And again, that heart openness is so important to really embracing the potential of everything.
so your parents really gave you the freedom to
Yeah.
believe what you want to believe, you said, right? So
Yes.
that gave you it's not, I mean, you tell me if I'm right, right? It seems like it would maybe give you the confidence then to pick up what works for you from all these different things that you were curious about.
Yes. Yeah, it really did. And in healing and then writing about different healing modalities and all of that, that just gave me more freedom. And the more you look into this stuff, the more, and it's funny, I remember deciding, oh, I'm going to be a healing practitioner, an energy healing practitioner. Wow, that's such a niche. And then learning that's not a niche. There's hundreds of different healing modalities. And it's exciting because not everyone will receive the information in one way. It's great that there's so many opportunities because we need to be able to receive things at different, the way we're going to hear it. Someone could say, 50 people can say things differently, the same sentence, but if you heard the 51st way, you're like, oh, now it makes sense, now it resonates with me. And the same is true with energy healing. It's really about us knowing what feels good. Again, tapping into that heart center makes you tap into that intuition. What feels good for me?
Right. No, that's great advice. In your work, you're pretty renowned in terms of what you're doing. I mean, do you is your business growing? I mean, I'm not trying to get personal in terms of the money. I'm more like, is there more people that you're helping? Is there more people waking up to this reality that they can heal themselves through energetic healing?
It has definitely been a trajectory like that for energy healing in general in the last 20 years. Like I said, when I came out with my blog, I was one of 20 people writing about this stuff. Now there's probably 2,000, 20,000, or more writing about this stuff, which means there are more people interested. There are more people that are recognizing that there's limits to thinking the way we've been thinking. There's limits. Most people have had some kind of experience thinking about someone, the phone rings and it's them, some kind of experience that makes them know there's more than we've kind of learned. And I think that opens up people more to, hey, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe there are more possibilities, and really just, them embracing.
I find it interesting that I'm glad to hear that. First of all, that's really a ray of hope for us all from a lot of different angles. I find it interesting that we live in a world where everything is powered by invisible waves and vibrations, right? 5G, Bluetooth. I mean, all of this that we cannot see, and yet we
Yeah.
see the outcomes. But when it comes to energy in ourselves and in this conversation, a lot of people are so quick to just rule it out as just, mysticism or malarkey, right? And how do you reconcile that?
And it's very personal experience. I think it's easier now in some ways to ignore some of this stuff because there's so many distractions. We can be on Netflix for days, or our phones, or it's really in that getting quiet. I mean, I think there's so many things like, how do you explain in nature, how these beings are born knowing certain things. Like
Hmm.
there are certain things that just come with us, so how do you explain that? Like the more you actually dive into just opening your mind, and for people that can look very different. Some people will believe, okay, maybe we don't float, we're not, when we pass on, we're not just in the ground and we're gone. Maybe there is a consciousness, for other people, maybe it is the energy that flows through us and they connect to that. Like whatever it is that interests you, even a little bit, I really encourage pursuing that. There's history of witches being burned at the stake because some of these people did show powers, that were supernatural. Some didn't and were killed anyway, but some, like, there's been history of this throughout eternity. Like, how were the pyramids built when we didn't have construction vehicles? Like, if you start going back, there's just so many different areas that you can look into. Yeah, and I just say grab whatever. Are you interested in UFOs? Are you interested, whatever it is? I just say embrace that and go for it, because yeah, everyone, I think, just we have different interests. I'm interested in it all. I'm like, just
Hmm.
bring it, it's
Yeah.
so exciting to me that we are more than our bodies and there's so much we don't know. But it really is about just everyone's on their own journey and hopefully respecting other people, like not calling BS on someone just because you haven't seen it. And for me, like I said, I always had that science mind too. So I always did have that show me.
And you mentioned being certified in some of these things. How does one, or how did you go about getting certified in, you know, what is it, shamanism and Akashic records and
Yeah.
other
So
energy healing
energy
techniques?
healing, sometimes it was live events, reconnective healing. I've gone to like 3 different, weekends away where I learned, firsthand with a bunch of people. And Akashic record reading, that was an online course. The teacher I learned from, Andrea Hess, does things in a very like linear way, which was awesome for me because, I still did have that little bit of trepidation and doubt. Can I do this? I doubt I can do this, even if other people have done that. So really like that understanding that, yeah, I mean, anything that you want to learn, you can learn. You could find a way to learn that online. Shamanism, I'd always been interested in it and had gone to some shamanic journey circles, but my interest really peaked and I started studying it when my mom got very ill and passed. I was her sole caregiver and she was my best friend. And when she left, I experienced grief like I had never had before. And she I'd have grief dreams where I would wake up and it was like she left and I would be in extreme, like feel like my heart was breaking all over
Right.
again. And I was like, okay, how do I heal from this? I've never experienced anything like this. And I ran into a friend who I consider a very wise spiritual teacher, like in a parking lot somewhere. And she was like, oh, my friend is just getting her book published by Hay House on grief. And she offers shamanic training on healing grief through shamanism. So I connected with her and I took a class on healing grief through shamanism or transmuting some of that energy. I had a session with her and the grief dream stopped. My mom came in fully, and I really, with some jokes because she was always joking. And
Hmm.
I recognized that I really wanted to study how to connect with the ancestors, how to connect with the elements. I love nature, how to connect with the elements, how to connect on a deeper level. So I went through a year training of shamanic practices. That was online as well, but I'd meet on Zoom with people to practice with during the weeks. And yeah, so that was very profound for me too. And I know you can do that in person. I've gone to actually shamanic workshop over a weekend, or you can do it in longer training periods.
Hmm. So for our audience who maybe is not familiar with the Akashic records, tell us a little bit about that. I'm fascinated by this concept, and I think generally I try to follow my gut. If I'm fascinated by it or intrigued or don't know about it, then there's probably somebody else listening that is in the same boat. So tell us a little bit more about that, because I've talked to some folks who, when you bring this up, they get there's a lot of fear sometimes associated with this
With
conversation.
shamanism,
With Akashic records,
with Akashic records,
right?
Akashic records are, I mean, it's basically the library of everything throughout time. So that's our soul, you know, every lifetime, that's properties. It is, you know, we show up as men and women throughout lifetimes to learn lessons as both, have experiences as both. So when I do a personal reading, it's really cool. The first part I'll do is a soul profile, where I'll find out the person's soul specializations, maybe some soul group, you know, their soul group, characteristics they have through their lifetimes, their primary life lesson. What are they here? What did they sign up to learn this time around? You know, and then the next level I'll do is like a clearing. So maybe we're repeating a pattern over and over again. Maybe we're someone that does choose people that aren't so great for us over and over again. Maybe there is an energetic block. I look at it as it's all energy. So it's really looking at where is that energy stuck? Where can that energy be moved a little more freely? So when we go to that, I ask my guides and that person's guides to clear the energy. And then I give the person a 21-day prayer to say, so they can really reflect on, okay, this is, you know, I'm ready to move past these blocks and restrictions. I love it with property clearings as well, because if we're in a house and someone else has lived there before, there's energy in there. You know, there's energy from objects, there's energy from things that went wrong. Oh, that leak was a pain, you know, like that energy goes into the walls of the house. And if we dream, some people have very negative dreams or have dreams where they're kind of opening up to other worlds and letting other energies in that aren't positive. By clearing that energy, by paying a lot of gratitude for the house, we can really like just set that energy free, you know, and really put protection around the house and really just, yeah, I call the Akashic record readings a not so gentle kick in the butt on your spiritual path, because I know after mine, that's when I found reconnect. I was told I'd be a healer. I found reconnective healing. It just kind of catapulted me. And that's what I really find it does with people, is it really is a fast way. I never say there's one way, but it's a fast way to really release a lot of energy.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
One of the things I've recently read a couple of different folks who have had near-death experiences, or maybe were even, certified as being dead for, 20 minutes or so. And they come back, and one of the things that I've found in common with some of these stories is the concept of a life review. Um,
Yes.
can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I love like Michael Newton and Brian Weiss's work, like on like life between lives. And, you know, so I do feel like, you know, when we're on the other side, we do go over. We have a very different view of how things went. We have that unconditional love view of ourselves. We tend to be very judgmental of ourselves here, but I think we have that higher perspective and can look at things with a lot more love instead of, hey, my dad did that to me or something like that. We can look at it from a very different perspective. And I think there is a lot of like reflection and, oh, that could have been handled a little differently, but I don't think it's met with that, like, I don't know, that like anger that we give ourselves or that self-deprecation that we tend to give ourselves here. It's more of oh, that's interesting, you know, and a real like culmination of all the information instead of that judgment.
One of the things that I found very interesting in that concept is that some report that even the smallest, like you mentioned earlier, smiling at someone,
Yeah.
right, that needs a smile, like that even that small little activity can create positive ripples throughout the entire universe. And a lot of times I think we get stuck thinking that we have to do something big, like in order to gain
Yeah.
to make an impact. And I wanted to talk to our audience a little bit about that the smallest things of just being kind in a certain situation to someone can really make a difference in the entire universe.
We don't know what anyone else is going through. I mean, and a lot of times we do take things personally and, you know, someone's not calling me back. Oh my God, what did I do wrong? You know, maybe that person has other things going on in their life right now. Maybe you checking in on them and saying, I'm thinking about you today would go a long way. And again, that smile in the grocery store, the holding the door for someone, the letting someone else have the parking spot instead of getting aggressive, these are all decisions we can make in an instant that just really put out that kindness. And it usually does have that ripple effect. Then that other person smiles at someone else instead of, maybe they were really depressed. I do always try to smile at people in grocery stores. I know that a lot of elderly people, they don't have other people that they interact with. So why not smile? Why not make a little small talk that makes their day, and just spread that love a little bit, because we all decided to be here during this really challenging time to incarnate on this planet, and I do feel like we're meant to show each other love. We're meant to make each other's lives a little easier. And however we can do that. I mean, I put $1 in a magazine in the doctor's office, however you can do that. It can be a little thing, but people finding that magic, or people finding that hope, that's priceless, and that does have that ripple effect.
And that's awesome. I think this might be a really great place to wrap up. I wonder if there's any last words you'd like to share with our audience, or anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to touch on.
I love all the questions that you asked me. And I just want people to know, as we're going through this time, things can be really hard, but we do always have that power that we can take back for ourselves. And it isn't finding the joy. What brings you joy? Giving yourself permission to do that daily. Dance, sing, watch something silly, call a friend that brings you happiness. Only you can truly control yourself. And that does have that ripple effect outside.
That's awesome. Jenny Garufi, how can people reach out to you? Do you have a website that folks are interested in learning more?
They can reach me at jennygarufi.com. It defaults to jennymannion.com, which was my maiden name, but jennygarufi.com. My books on Amazon are Jenny Garufi too. And I do Akashic readings. I do mentoring. I do property clearings, and just love to connect with people. I have a free offering on my site of it's a 2-week mini course of how to reclaim your inner peace. And love just helping, giving people tools to make their life easier.
Jenny Garufi, thank you so much. Hang on, after I stop the recording, I'd like to chat with you a little bit more. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello, this episode is brought to you by Morrison Alley. Morrison Alley provides consulting focused around strategy, leadership, and team development, as well as AI implementations to streamline effectiveness or marketing solutions or app development, and then leadership development from our Fire and Rain leadership development team, focused on executive leadership experiences and experiential learning. Check it out, morrisonalley.com. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Ashley on Nothing But the Truth for a Better You and Me.